In the heart of a dense, unforgiving forest, there stood an old cabin. This wasn't a cozy little hideaway where one would retreat for a tranquil weekend. No, this cabin had an aura that could make the bravest hearts quiver. Its weathered walls, shrouded in an eternal shadow, whispered tales of the unseen terror that lurked within. Amongst the locals, it was a legend, a chilling bedtime story for disobedient children. They spoke of the dark secrets that the forest kept, secrets that were as old as the cabin itself. This cabin, they said, was abandoned for centuries, a relic of a time best forgotten. But for Sarah, our protagonist, this cabin was a beacon, a siren call to her adventurous spirit. A young woman with a fiery heart and a penchant for the supernatural, Sarah was not one to shy away from a challenge. The cabin, with its whispered secrets and eerie silence, was a puzzle waiting to be solved, a mystery yearning to be unraveled. With her backpack slung over her shoulder and her trusty flashlight in hand, she ventured into the forest, drawn towards the cabin like a moth to a flame. The forest, usually alive with the sounds of nature, fell silent as she approached, as if holding its breath in anticipation. A chill ran down her spine as she stood before the cabin, its decrepit form looming over her. Yet her curiosity was her compass, and it pointed her straight towards the unknown. She could feel the weight of the legends, the hushed stories of the old, pressing down on her, but she shrugged it off. After all, she was Sarah, the explorer, the one who laughed in the face of danger. So, with a nervous yet determined heart, Sarah steps towards the cabin, ready to face whatever the unseen terror might be. After all, who needs a cozy weekend retreat when one can have a date with the supernatural? Sarah pushes open the creaking door of the cabin, stepping into the dim interior. She's greeted by a scene that's more shadow than substance. The air is thick with a musty scent of age and abandonment, and cobwebs hang like tattered lace in every corner. The walls, weathered and worn, seem to absorb the weak beam of her flashlight, their secrets hiding just out of reach. The cabin seems untouched by time, yet ravaged by it. The floorboards groan under her weight, whispering tales of years gone by. The faded wallpaper peels away, revealing patches of raw timber that shiver in the cold. And in the heart of it all, the silence. It's not the comforting quiet of solitude, but an eerie hush that seems to hum with hidden menace. As Sarah ventures deeper into the cabin, a chill brushes her spine. It's as if the very air is watching her, its unseen eyes tracking her every move. A soft rustle echoes from the far corner, the sound swallowed quickly by the oppressive silence. She spins around, her flashlight cutting a path through the darkness, but there's nothing there. Just shadows and silence. And then the whispers start. They're faint, barely there, like the ghost of a sound. They flutter around her, their words indistinguishable, their tone unmistakably malicious. A cold dread seeps into her, heavy and suffocating. The cabin, once an object of curiosity, now feels like a trap. Its door vanished into the gloom. Sarah's heart pounds in her chest, each beat echoing the whispers that fill the room. She's not alone. She can feel it. Shadows dance at the edge of her vision, flitting in and out of sight. It's as if the cabin itself is alive, its walls breathing around her, its voice whispering in her ear. She tries to shake off the fear, tries to remember why she came, but the cabin's malicious presence is overwhelming. It's no longer an exploration, it's a fight for survival. What started as curiosity quickly turned into fear. The true horror of the cabin is just beginning to reveal itself, and Sarah is trapped, alone, in the heart of the whispering woods. Suddenly, Sarah realizes she's not alone. The eerie quiet of the cabin is disrupted by the whispers growing louder, their malicious undertone becoming more pronounced. A chill shoots up her spine, the cold realization settling in that she is not the cabin's only resident. The air seems to grow colder, the shadows darker, and the silence heavier with each passing second. As Sarah explores deeper into the cabin, the supernatural occurrences intensify. The whispers evolve into chilling laughter, bouncing off the cobweb-laden walls, mocking her terror. It's as if the cabin itself is reveling in her fear, feeding off her mounting panic. Just when she thinks she can't take it anymore, she turns to flee, to escape the chilling laughter that seems to come from every direction. But the door The creaky old door that she had pushed open just moments ago is gone, vanished as if it had never existed. The only thing that greets her is a solid wall, covered in the same weathered wood as the rest of the cabin. The realization hits her like a punch in the gut. She's trapped in this decrepit cabin that seems to be closing in on her, the walls whispering their sinister secrets into her ears. The laughter grows louder, the shadows dance more wildly, and the cold seeps deeper into her bones. The panic sets in, a wild, uncontrollable fear that makes her heart pound in her chest like a drum. She scrabbles at the walls, the rough wood scraping her fingers raw, but the door remains elusive. The cabin seems to be playing a cruel game with her fear its favorite plaything. She finds herself huddled in a corner, her breath coming in short, shallow gasps, the whispers and laughter echoing around her. Alone in the darkness, the scent of decay heavy in the air, Sarah feels something she has never felt before, an overwhelming sense of dread that seems to consume her, leaving her trembling in the corner of the cabin. Trapped in the darkness, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of dread. As the whispers grew louder, Sarah huddled in a corner, her heart pounding in her chest. The cabin, once a beacon of curiosity, now became an echo chamber of her worst nightmares. The whispers, like spectral apparitions, slipped through the cracks, slithering through the air, a symphony of malice. Each word, a sharp icicle piercing the silence, clawed at her sanity, a relentless onslaught of unseen terror. The night seemed to stretch into eternity, each second a grueling marathon of fear. Sarah's breath hitched in her throat, every exhale a desperate plea for reprieve. The darkness was oppressive, pressing down on her like a heavy shroud, the weight of 1,000 secrets bearing down upon her. The cabin was alive, its timbers groaning under the strain of the unseen, the walls whispering tales of the forgotten, the air thick with the scent of dread. Fear had long since taken the driver's seat, steering her into a realm of the surreal. The shadows danced with glee, reveling in her terror, their grotesque shapes twisting and contorting in the dim light of her dying flashlight. The whispers grew into a crescendo, a symphony of discordant notes that echoed through the cabin, a haunting melody that seemed to vibrate through her very soul. Cold sweat trickled down her face, her heart hammering against her ribcage like a wild animal trying to break free. Her mind, a whirlwind of panic and confusion, raced to find a way out, but the door, her only escape, had vanished, swallowed by the darkness. She was a puppet in a sinister play, her strings pulled by unseen hands. Her fingers clung to the cold, damp floor, her nails scraping against the rough wood in a futile attempt to anchor herself in reality. But reality had long since abandoned her, leaving her at the mercy of the cabin and its whispering occupants. As dawn broke, the sinister laughter faded away, leaving Sarah trembling and exhausted. The first rays of morning light pierced the darkness, casting long shadows across the cabin floor. The whispers receded, their malignant chorus subsiding into the ether, leaving behind an eerie silence. The longest night had passed, leaving Sarah a shell, her spirit battered but her resolve unbroken. With the first light of morning, the door reappeared. Like a mirage in a desert, the door shimmered into existence, a beacon of hope in the heart of darkness. Sarah, our intrepid adventurer, now prey in this game of terror, felt a surge of relief. Stumbling, staggering, she thrust the door open, the rusty hinges groaning in protest. The daylight seemed blinding, an alien entity after the endless night within the cabin. Each step she took was a battle, her legs shaky, her heart pounding like a frantic drummer. But the promise of escape, of survival, fueled her onward. The forest, once a realm of mystery and allure, now seemed a labyrinth of shadows. Sarah's breath hitched as she stumbled over roots and stones, her flight a desperate dance. The whispers of the cabin seemed to follow her, echoes of fear nipping at her heels. Yet she pressed on, driven by the primal instinct of survival. As the cabin receded into the distance, a strange sense of calm washed over Sarah. The forest, once teeming with unseen horrors, now whispered tales of resilience and survival. Yet the peace was tainted, the memory of the cabin's terror a lingering aftertaste. She had escaped, yes, but at what cost? Her curiosity, once a bright flame, had been doused by fear. The supernatural, once a source of fascination, now held a sinister undertone. She had sought out the unknown, and the unknown had almost devoured her. With each step that carried her away from the cabin, Sarah made a silent vow, a vow to never return, to let the cabin and its secrets fade into the annals of forgotten nightmares. The forest, the cabin, they were chapters in her life she wished to close, memories she longed to erase. As she fled the forest, she vowed never to return, knowing that some secrets were better left undisturbed. For in the heart of the whispering woods, the cabin stood silent once more. A predator lying in wait, its hunger for fear unsated, biding its time for the next unsuspecting soul to cross its path.